Cards to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium and the Adventure Begins, located on 1488, right next to a big old movie theater. I'm Chaz Graves, and here with me today, Preston Laird and Mark Blair.
All right, thanks Chaz again for that introduction. This is Cards to Yards. I'm Mark Blair here with Preston. Preston, it's already March. Can you believe it?
Nope, I can't.
There's always this maddening thing that happens in March, so that's gearing up. Have you been following college basketball at all?
Not as much as I should. I do follow the Cougs a little bit and my Crimson Tide, but I'm not completely in touch with all the dynamics of the March Madness that's about to unfold.
I think that's
educate me.
I just wanted to say I think that it's fine just to jump on in March.
Yeah,
we're tuning up. We got the women's conference tournaments this week, and then men's conference tournaments next week, and then the big dances after that. After the seeding's done, and you got the play-in games and all that. Probably the second most acceptable sport to just jump into. Super Bowl one,
yeah,
and then March Madness.
Absolutely.
But you could argue like the Olympics, the World Series, maybe.
Yeah.
Those are probably things that people might tune into just for a social event or gathering, but you can't really escape. I mean, if you walk by any televisions, you can't escape March Madness.
No, you can't.
It's pretty much everywhere. And remember when they were like airing games on Court TV? That was weird.
Yes.
Just because they needed
the regional.
Because of the regional overflow and the CBS networks. So let's get into it. We talk on this show about sports cards, obviously, but we also hit on memorabilia. And I think, with the insane sports card boom last year that was caused by nostalgia and the pandemic going back to March 2020, where prices just went insane and a lot of stuff is cooling down, but some stuff is heating up. One of those things is memorabilia. And so every time you and I sit down, it's like, oh, a jersey sold for the record amount for a jersey. Now a shoe sold. Well, this week it's tickets.
Yeah.
So,
that's the ticket.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Heritage Auction, they just completed this big 2-night auction. $25.5 million generated from all those items combined, and the most notable item was probably the ticket to Jackie Robinson's April 15th, 1947 debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Can you imagine?
Man, that's just
insane.
History in your hands. That's an amazing piece of Americana and baseball, and not to mention the social, impact of that event. That's an enormous ticket. That's crazy.
Game changing in every way. That went for $480,000, so just shy of $500,000.
Wow.
And not a famous owner, but a notable owner of that new ticket, the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting, keeping it in baseball.
Heck
for
yeah.
sure.
Absolutely.
And then guess who had the second highest selling ticket? Of course, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Of course.
What a shock.
That's his first game. That went just shy. I mean, I couldn't imagine if that would have beat Jackie Robinson's ticket, but that went for $460,000. And then probably the most famous speech or event at a game, minus maybe, unless you like bought the chair that Bobby Knight threw across the floor while coaching the Indiana Hoosiers, but one of the 6 known tickets to exist to the Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day, of course, which is the
speech.
The speech.
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest man speech. That was actually graded a PSA 2.
Yeah.
That one went for $108,000.
So that must have been around 1945, I guess. I don't know the exact year, but another tremendous, momentous occasion in the history of baseball in America. So very, very cool.
Yeah, Heritage Auctions has been curating these incredible auctions for well-to-do sports collectors, let's say.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, that's a pretty expensive ticket.
Yeah, it is.
What's the most expensive ticket you've ever bought?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I think I've paid probably $400 or $500 for a concert ticket.
Oh, okay.
One time or two in my life.
Yeah.
But, as far as the memorabilia market, I've always thought that tickets were fascinating and a really cool collectible, but to be honest, I never envisioned that they would hold the value that they actually hold now. I mean, even despite everything else in the memorabilia world, I just never fathomed that a ticket stub could be worth that much money, because I've probably thrown out a few that are worth a little bit too.
Well, yeah, I mean,
big
there
events.
there was tens of thousands of people at that Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day, but only 6 known tickets. So
Yeah.
most people were just going to throw them in the trash. And then if they didn't, they would be, in a closet getting eaten by moths or something somewhere. So it's like, unimaginable. They do have ticket slabs now. They slab tickets, obviously.
Absolutely.
They grade tickets, obviously. They also just have ticket books. Just like they have trading card binders. I mean, you can just keep your tickets in good shape. You never know. I mean, if you're ever at a game with a historical event, just hold on to it for 60 years.
Save your ticket stubs.
Save your ticket stubs. Another part of the market, and this goes back to cards, but a very specific type of card, PMGs, precious metal gems. I'm sure you remember those from the mid-'90s when those caught fire under the Skybox brand. The most expensive Kobe Bryant public sale to date, $2 million for the green PMG from the 1996-97 Metal Universe set.
Amazing.
And it was like a Beckett 8.5.
Yep.
That's incredible. As you know, with getting into grading here for the shop and stuff, that type of card is impossible to get to gem on. So 8.5 is great.
It is great, and you're right. It's one of the most condition sensitive sets that's ever been created. Go back to like 86 Topps football and 85 Topps football, hugely condition sensitive. They were just horribly miscut and such. But yeah, the Skybox Metal series, one of the all time great iconic sets out there, and of course it's been on fire for a couple of years now, but it's really heating up even more. And that particular card, they made 100 of them, and only the first 10 are green. So there's only 10 in the world, and to have one at that high of a grade is absolutely amazing. And not only are they super rare, but they're some of the most beautiful cards that you will ever set your eyes on. So if you're a collector of anyone, NBA, that's something you need to have a few of those in your collection. I absolutely love Skybox Metal.
Or if you do non-sports, the Marvel end of that has gone crazy. I think a Spider-Man, it might have been a blue, it could have been a green, but it was numbered to 50 or less, depending on what color it was. That one for like 50 grand.
I mean, right? I mean, anything Skybox Metal is awesome. They even had Skybox Metal hockey come out last year that was super hot too. So yeah, I love it.
And regardless of card production, that's why I was kind of telling everyone a couple weeks back on the Wanderers, just get a serial numbered one. Any serial number one you can find, because people are like, oh well, there's a million printed for Topps 2022. Well, not of the Independence Day variant or the camo variant or even the gold that's 2022. But the possibilities of one day having an official metal basketball or football set again.
Heck yeah.
That's something super fun to think about. Something super fun, or not super fun to think about, is the little lockout we got going in MLB.
Yeah. It's unfortunately it's there's a stalemate. There's not a whole lot of progress that's been going on evidently in these talks. I don't understand it. I mean, at its core, I think it's just a big spitting match between the players union and the owners, and I think the owners are kind of flexing their muscles, saying we can go longer without this revenue than you guys can go without this revenue. We'll see what happens. I think of all the sports out there, this is the one sport that could probably sustain a delay of the season more so than any other sport, simply because they do have 162 games on their schedule. I don't think a lot of people are concerned about, okay, well, dang it, we're not going to get 160 games. We're only going to get 150 or 140. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's going to have a whole lot of impact on the collectible market for sports cards and memorabilia and such. I mean, it might have a short-term effect, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term effect. I hope they can get things worked out sooner than later. What are your opinions on that?
I do have a couple of baseball purist fans that are really upset that the season might only be 156 games. I'm of the mind, cut the season down to 140. Yeah. But, like it used to be way back. But that just doesn't fly for a lot of people. I mean, I know baseball is therapy and some people want that they just want the season to go on
Yeah.
for half a year, but it's a long time.
And there's a lot of your OCD statistical nerds out there that thrive on that stuff, and when things don't go according to plan, they tend to lose their mind a little bit. So I can understand from a statistical standpoint where a shortened season is not acceptable to a lot of people, but it's an unfortunate reality, and we're just going to have to live with it at this point, and hopefully they'll wrap it up soon.
Yeah, from a stat standpoint, it's similar to how we kept talking about they added a 17th game to the NFL. So there's going to forever be an asterisk, like, hey, season was changed to 17 games at this point. Yeah, as you said, it's funny that you said baseball owners are flexing, because Tony Clark, who was a great player back in his day, he was saying that the owners are using this lockout as an economic weapon. And basically, the real two sticking points are they want to raise the minimum salary for players, which if you ever look at the discrepancy between like a AAA player and a Mike Trout, yikes.
And I'm on board with the players 1,000% on this, because I've done pretty extensive research on minor league conditions, their living conditions, their allowances, how much they actually make in their base salary. And it's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you, when you consider the amount of money that these organizations pull in, and they can't spare a few extra $1,000 a year for these guys. So more power to the players on this. I'm going to side with them every time. The MLB players don't necessarily need a pay increase per se, but minor league players, absolutely, because they sacrifice a lot and they work hard for pennies on the dollar compared to these guys, and I think they deserve a little better treatment.
And make no mistake, the guys that do make 20, 30, 40 a year aren't willing to take a pay cut or inhibit a salary cap, which has always been forbidden in baseball. It's like the one sport that has never been allowed to have one. The owners have kind of found ways to get around that. One of the things they're trying to do is one of the other sticking points is the luxury tax. Like, players want a bigger one so that the salaries can balloon more. You and I probably painfully remember the last time this happened 27 years ago.
Yeah.
The 94-95 season, when the Astros were on absolute fire. So the season's down from 162 to 156. That's not to say those 6 games couldn't come back into play, like on rain out days or via double headers.
Sure.
But it's lasted over 90 days, and this is the 9th work stoppage in MLB history. So we'll keep posting on that, but we don't want to like dwell on it, because it's not, it's like when
nothing
the season
to see
happens,
here right
it'll
now.
happen.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to baseball at the end of the month. That probably won't happen, but hopefully April.
Yeah.
So now the NBA season is now well over past the halfway point. All-Star weekend has come and gone. Did you watch any of the All-Star stuff?
I watched some highlights. I'm not a huge All-Star guy for any sport. I don't care what it is.
Okay.
Like the Pro Bowl. I mean, don't watch a whole lot of Pro Bowl. But if I'm going to spend any time watching an All-Star weekend, it's going to be the NBA, just simply because they've got all the skills challenges and the rookie challenges, and it's a little bit more entertaining, I think, for the average fan than your other sports when it comes to All-Star stuff.
Absolutely. Well, if you watched highlights, then you probably didn't hear one thing about the dunk contest, because there were none from that. I was so stoked to have a Houston Rocket in there, Jalen Green. But, it's one of those things where, if he would have made his first dunk on the first try, it would have been like, wow. But then, try 5, try 6, try 7. It was getting bad. It was getting like watching a Bad News Bears montage when they're bad in the middle of the movie. It was pretty bad. Obi Toppin won that, and the unanimous Twitterverse was like meh. Like, I don't think there's a way to fix the dunk contest. They're gonna have to. What I've always said, they should go find the best hometown street ballers on the planet and do it that way, and then you actually change someone's life. Gatorade puts up $2 million. Change someone's life.
Yeah, because there's definitely some playground ballers out there that can dunk with the best in the world, and I agree with you. I know there was a guy a couple of years ago that they had done a story on that was just a street player, but he had a YouTube channel with these just ridiculous, dunks on it. Yeah, I agree. Why not have a special invite for some some different personalities other than NBA players.
Absolutely. One cool thing that happened was the first center to ever win the 3-point contest, and that was Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, yeah. I was just telling a buddy the other day, I think he's the most underrated NBA player in the game today. He just doesn't get a lot of shine. I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe it's the team he's on.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. But yeah, I love Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's tremendous talent.
Make no mistake, I don't want him to go to the Lakers or anything like that, but he probably needs to get out of Minnesota at this point. Because if they haven't figured out a way to build around him by now,
right?
I mean, and they've tried like a Wiggins combo, and so it didn't work out. But wow, I did not know he had like that sweet of a 3-point shot, and he set records in those rounds.
Yep.
And then the main point of the All-Star game is having your stars shine, and no one did better than Steph Curry, All-Star game MVP. His team won 163-160, which, again, look, ridiculous, but the guy made 16 3-pointers, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. He did what Steph Curry does.
He did.
Drains him.
He was on Team LeBron, and Team LeBron beat Team Durant 163-160. Something very cool that happened, the U.S. women's national team won a long-standing, settlement and fight for equal pay with the men's team. And to me, it's always kind of been a no-brainer because I've always been able to name more national women's team players than the men, especially since they've underperformed.
Yeah.
But the women were champions. They earned that. And then on the day that happened, they also took home the She Believes Cup for the 5th time.
Yeah.
And what was cool about that was a round-robin style tournament. It started out pretty bad because they got shut out by the Czech Republic, but then they beat their next 2 opponents 5-0. So
yeah,
that worked out. It was a big deal with the much anticipated debut of Trinity Rodman, daughter of NBA Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman, and very impressive that they got those 2 wins with a +10 goal differential, especially because they were using players that are just cutting their teeth on that level.
Yeah.
A lot of the veterans set out, and the other players with not as much experience stepped up, and I think that's really going to benefit them in the long run.
Heck yeah, that experience is very important.
So just a lot of bright spots to look forward to in U.S. soccer, I think. I'm really rooting for the men, to make a big show.
Yeah.
In the World Cup.
Me too.
So.
I'm so excited. But yeah, I mean, you got a point. Women's soccer has been way more enjoyable to watch than men's soccer for the most part the last decade, 15 years. So I'm really glad that they got some pay that they very much deserve.
And the U.S. has been good, like America more than probably anyone loves a winner, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like that has vaulted them up there.
Okay.
And so I think they earned that for sure. All right, so that's the sports part or the yards part of Cards to Yards. So now let's get to the cards. What's coming out?
Yeah, well, this week we've got Upper Deck Hockey Series 1 coming out. For all 3 of you hockey fans out there, yes, we've all been waiting, and he is definitely one of them. He asked me the first thing when we came in, hey, when's that Upper Deck Series 1 coming in? I said, soon. So, yes, we've got the Upper Deck Hockey. We've got Panini Contenders football next week, and then we've got Origins basketball coming next week, too. So, provided that the distributors get it out on time, so give or take a day or two. We did get the Donruss basketball hobby in this week a couple of days late, but it is in shop. So if you want to come get some new basketball, come on and get it. They got some really cool inserts, including the Marvels, lots of press proofs and really cool stuff. Speaking of the Marvel stuff, also want to plug HGA. We're continually accepting HGA. HGA's recently reached out to me personally and apologized for some delays that they've had in the last few months. Supply chains have broken down on some particulars when it comes to their slabs, but they've got a hold on it now. Their management structure has changed, and I'm feeling really confident that their turnaround times are going to be closer to what they are on paper going forward. So that's a good sign from HGA. Bring your cards in, let us have a look at them, get them graded, and then we've also got a break coming up next Friday on March 11th, 4 p.m. We've got the 2-box Donruss Elite Basketball. So get your spots, $35 a spot for a random team. I think we've got about 20 spots left, so you can go online, come in the shop, and we'll set you up with that.
So basically, get all your PMGs rounded up and send them to HGA.
Heck yeah. I've got one here in the shop. I got a Kevin Garnett PMG. It's green, and it's got a custom label on it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah.
Amazing. They're really amazing cards. And just in case you don't remember from the beginning of the show, our glossary term of the week happens to be PMG.
Yeah.
Mark, what's a PMG? Whoa, listener, a PMG is a precious metal gem. This was a popular insert that was introduced under the Skybox brand in the late 90s. They're highly coveted, being known for the first big-time serial number parallel card with less than 100 made of each card. And, of course, the green ones, 10 or less.
Yep.
So, good stuff, Preston, as always. Thanks. Appreciate it. We'll be back next time on Cards to Yards. I'm Mark. Back to you, Chaz.
Well, gang, that's all for today's episode. So join us next week. Cars to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium and the Adventure Begins. Again, we're located off 1488 and Woodland Square Boulevard. See you next time.